Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, DTF, back with another album review of Kids See Ghosts by Kid Cudi and Kanye West. I don't necessarily do too much. I don't do enough research. I was going to say too much research into a specific sector, but at the same time, that's just being lazy. And I did try some new things with the script. This is where my script is. Okay, I'll just be straight honest. I'm not the greatest at reading off scripts yet. Okay, so I am a very authentic person. All right. So I do have my entire, it's not even script, it's like bullet points really, but I did try some research. I'm really trying to, improve in these sectors. But other than that, I think we should just dive right into the sections, don't you? Let's start off with the intention. This project alone doesn't seem to just be one story as a whole. It seemed to be part of a much larger release of a smaller bunch of projects, being, I think it is Yeezus, 808s and Heartbreak. I think there was a few others. I just kind of don't have them on mind right now. I should have listed them down. I don't have them here. But I think they create a more like a larger narrative rather than each project individually. I think this was around the time period between 2016 to 2020, if I have that correct. Again, I really should have done the damn research. Yeah. But in terms of if there were an intention with this project individually, the only thing I can necessarily see as a case is simply drawing attention to the things discussed in the lyrics and the songs, being stuff like the struggles with their mental health, abuse, and everything that they've gone through. But other than that, it doesn't seem that there is too much intention necessarily with this release, other than also just releasing good music. My favorite section, sound and production. This has always been my favorite section because sometimes the people, the way they use these words. Obviously, when I do my research, I really shouldn't like get too nitty gritty with the behind the scenes, yeah, because I like to have focused videos. And me now saying that kind of just, oh my gosh, yeah. But again, just to be the authentic version of me, this is kind of like my favorite section, not only because I'm like mad into music, could be making my own, but also some like obviously there's that feature on Google now with the AI. Okay, I'm not a big AI fanatic, but just in the sense that it's such a unique system, useful system, that it pulls all the information from multiple sites, but that does seem to conflict sometimes, which is wrong. But I do have it written here. So I got this from Google and so on and so forth, and pulled from different sites. A fragmented experimental style, right, rooted in hip hop but infused with ambient, industrial, and soulful elements. They always do such a brilliant job of describing that sound, heavily relying on layered, manipulated drum breaks, emotive vocal samples. The first track, if you know, you know. Synths and live instrumentation. Oh, I just love the words they use, man. I can't wait till I'm producing tracks and then I come research my own stuff and see what they say about it. It's gonna be so much fun. But in terms of my personal opinion about the production, other than what they just said, you see what I do there. I do research, right? I do research on what the thing is, right? So thing in me, and then I have my own personal opinion. You see, genius. Not really, but my personal opinion on the sound and production. I'm not as good with the wordy stuff just yet. So I'm still getting in the midst of it, still learning a lot of things. But it's actually really hard to come up with your own unique stuff. Like after you've read that, because now you want to use those words, but then you're just repeating yourself. What do I do? You know what we do? You know what we do? Coffee break. It's a busy morning. Yeah. When I do think about the sound and production is that Kanye's always had this very unique way of adding very unique sound and spins on tracks. I recently heard this track where him and MJ were on together, and it was like a remix of a different song, and I'm like, who would think to mix it this way? Who would think to chop it and add this kind of sound? And we all have this generalized this same similar beat pattern that's popular. It's like can you guys can't hear that? Damn it! I'm not gonna vocally do it. That's too cringe. But we all have like a similar drum pattern, with the frames. But we all have this like a similar drum pattern. We can hear this then. I pray you can hear that. If you can't, I'm just gonna cut this entire section out. But the way Kanye does it, like he just has this, like it just feels like he has this thing at the back of his mind that's like, no, let's go the complete other direction. I've always just liked Kanye's production, at least back in the elder times. Okay, you know what? I won't even lie to you. I've kind of been on beg forgiveness. Okay. Now technically he isn't the producer of that song. I think Ty Dolla Sign is, but like even though the Vultures albums were kind of bad, same with Bully, um, he always just has this unique production, dude. I don't know how to describe it, but it's especially the drum patterns, the mixing, and sometimes the lyricism. Like there was a certain section, I think it was in Kids See Ghosts, the song. I think it's like the sixth, no, it's the fifth track. I believe it's the fifth track. Could be wrong. But the way he was rapping wasn't entirely on beat, but it was just this like I'm actually getting kind of pissed off now, you see, because I keep doing this, I keep going, and I'm at a loss of words. I like the production. It's always been unique. It's always been memorable. It's always baffled me a little bit. It isn't super commercial, but that makes it so much better for commercial purpose because of how unique it is, I feel like. I really, really like this project's sound and production. Next, we have project concept, aesthetic, and theme. Right, yeah. So ghosts seem to serve as this metaphor for their struggles, their demons, being what seem to be popularly or commonly even described as their mental health, addiction, and abuse. And whether this world is like an embodiment of their struggles manifested, or if it's just completely a separate universe just made out of creativity and imagination, is kind of unclear. But I do personally think that having created this project puts them in a very unique position of being able to take what they were once a victim of and using it as a source of power for creativity, and just musical greatness, honestly. And yeah, it's just like that's that trope of like taking pain and channeling it through a different facet outlet, whatever you want to call it. That's always been like one of my favorite concepts and ideas to do. I mean, with this lighting, I'm always so sorry about this. I'm sure the men especially know what that's like, you know. Like most famous examples using heartbreak. You hit the gym, you go crazy, you come back a whole new beast. You know, it's always been like insane. You know, I've always loved that trope, and I really do think that, I don't know if that's entirely again their intention exactly, but I do think that's the kind of position that they've been put in, and I appreciate what they've made from it. In terms of aesthetic and theme, on the other hand, okay, ghostly, soulful, eerie, fantasy, supernatural, okay, using lead colors of orange, blue, and pink, which again, technically the section's unimportant in terms of aesthetic and theme because you can just look at it yourself. I just, again, like to say it aloud, like to acknowledge it, because there has been so many, okay, I'll be honest, most of the projects I'm choosing to do for this entire album run is purely off of the album covers. Yeah. Not because they're acclaimed, not because they're incredible, purely because of the album covers. That's how much I appreciate the art in every angle, okay? Of course I want to listen to good music, but if the album cover sucks, I'm not going to have a good time here. It would have to be an insane production to distract me from the fact that your album cover sucks. All right? So, I'm about to listen to a Freddie Gibbs album. I think it's Freddie Gibbs, right? Purely because I liked his album cover. Yeah. So, don't play, bro. Don't play. Have a good album. Favorite song. Okay. At number 3, we have Free. All right. It was kind of hard, as I can see on the notes, it was kind of hard to describe exactly why. I mean, not even, my stomach's going crazy. It has this cocky, braggadocious, in your face boom. I don't know what that sound is in the background. I thought it was a synth, but I don't think it is. But it just hits every time it plays. It feels progressive, it feels paced. And sounds that have that kind of spatial boom always have this like larger than life feel, and that's always been like such a thing for me. Um, and so that's why I had to put it at my third spot. At number 2, we have Feel the Love. Not gonna lie, this was a pretty heavy contender for number 1. I actually really like this track. I have a Pusha T bias now. I like to hear more of him ever since Let God Sort Them Out. Or Sort Them Out. In terms of the highlight for this track, I think it's because it's unique, you know. Fun fact, in fact, right? I do this thing in my notes where I actually highlight one word as to why it's my favorite track, or like the main word. So for Free, it was the word boom, right? For Feel the Love, it's the word unique. So I was like thinking, how would I do that with the editing style? I'm not sure. But yeah, a unique usage of mumble vocals as a beat and bridge makes it feel both like makes it feel both silly and sick. I feel like, you know. Um, it's I was listening to this track in the lounge, and it's like, you know, it's a banger, you know, it's a really good song, but you also understand that people just don't get it sometimes. I was listening to it in my lounge, and my mom and sister were there next to me, and the mumble vocals were going kind of crazy, and I'm like, oh, do they think I'm some weirdo listening to this? But no. Yeah, hip hop's a very unique genre, man. Some people get it, some people don't. As I'm sure it is probably with every genre at this point. Just especially hip hop, I feel like. And at number 1, it's pretty obvious, guys. Black Coffee. It's Fourth Dimension. I know. It's not Reborn. I genuinely don't get how that's the most listened to track on that album. It's fun fact, that's my least favorite of the entire album. I'm thinking about adding that as a section 2, or just like a honorable mention type situation going on. But um I really don't like Reborn, dude. But in terms of Fourth Dimension, it's just the dopest use of a sample I've ever heard, other than Clips's So Be It with that Arabic sample. Incredible mixing lands, it just lands every flipping time. Incredible lyricism as well. That sentence line where it cuts him off, love it. Um, Polished, it's clean. Like, listen to the track and you'll understand, bro. It's just such an easy track to make your number 1. It's just so easy. And again, my least favorite being Reborn. Just like, nah. How it's aged. Now I have 2 sections, publicly and personally. I said we'll go with publicly first, because this is where I did my research now. I'm just not the greatest at memorizing, right? So I'll do my best to switch between the two. But it seems to have debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200, which isn't it just called the Hot 200 or something? I don't know why it's labeled like that, but okay. Having sold the equivalent of 142,000 units in its first week. That's pretty cool. It's pretty good numbers, I believe, right? Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, that's good numbers. Um, so I was just thinking, like, it's good numbers, of course it is, but it's like, I was thinking Chromacopia was like 360,000, which is insane. But anyways, receiving a gold certification from the Recording Industry Association of America. Don't know what that is. Again, I'm learning all these things. As well as the track Reborn, becoming a key single, which has since been platinum certified. As well as Fourth Dimension, okay, charting internationally. See, much better, much better. That's initially. Now, long term, in terms of how it's publicly aged, seems to have attained over 1 billion Spotify streams alone. Okay, it has achieved classic status. Um, which I always wonder when that becomes a thing. Does the public just say, "Oh, it's classic," and everyone just agrees? Like, how does that necessarily become a thing? But I guess that is right. You kind of know. You can't like say you don't know. You know, people know when the public is on one side. But yeah. Um, and apparently someone wanted to release an animated show based on the album's theme, but it just never got released. And that was back in like 2018. So I don't think it's going to become a thing, sadly. But that's pretty cool to think your album cover is so cool in terms of the theme and so on and so forth. Someone wants to make an animated show out of it. That's pretty flipping dope, in my opinion. In terms of how it's personally aged, it's not something I play too often, okay? Not like I've been listening to like odds on amount, like every track has been in my circulation. But I still think it tops most of the tracks that are out nowadays. It's really nice to have in my circle now. Pretty well. It's like it's hard to describe how it's aged personally. Um but pretty well. It's like it's not like a super long record, obviously. So there's only like a few songs I'll really listen to, but it's just pleasant to hear, oh, it's that song from Kids See Ghosts when it, pops up. Enjoyability. I'd say decently enjoyable. Um, yeah, the first four tracks hit pretty hard, uh, as well as the last track, the Kanye montage. But Reborn, yep, as I see here, Reborn, Kids See Ghosts kind of have like a mutual, only sometimes enjoyability. Has to be like a very unique situation for me to actually be able to enjoy it. I feel like, um, yeah, isn't something I play like those tracks aren't something I play too often at all. I'd still consider the strong. I'd still consider the strong. I'd still consider the project a pretty strong record, right? Record. Okay, South Africans are the mix between UK and US English, right? So record, record, record. I'm just gonna say record, okay? I'd consider it a pretty strong record. Um, and yeah, as I have written here, it does top most of the music I listen to, or most of the stuff that's being released nowadays. I feel like so it's still pretty strong, but in terms of enjoyability, decently enjoyable. Not decently like 5, decently as in like a 7, But in terms of the overall score, let's see if you guys can predict it. Get your predictions in, write them down, write them somewhere, comment section. I'll wait. I'll wait. What's the predictions? Oh my soul, that's a good backscript. I rate this album, this record, an 8 out of 10. A light 8. It's like a strong 7 light. So we'll just give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's easy for smaller records to have higher ratings because there's less that could go wrong, but it could also lack material. I feel like this had material, this had production, this had concept, but had the 2 tracks been a bit more enjoyable, probably would have struck for a 10, but sadly they were not. Strong record, again, decently enjoyable. Just did not like those 2 tracks, and I can't give something a 10 that doesn't hit right in all the right places. So yeah, but let me know what you thought, how you enjoyed the album, what you think of this review, what you think of my continuously needing to look at my script, or if it's not a big deal whatsoever. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good time. Stay warm, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And I better see you in the comment sections. Okay? I want to engage. Videos like these aren't going to be around for the longest time, right? I'm about to go get it, go get at it in life. All right, so engage with me while you can, man. All right, let's talk about this record. Let's discuss. I don't think you guys like. Yes, of course it helps boost my videos, but I genuinely enjoy hearing from what people think. Again, I've seen so much people love this album to death, and I've seen so many people just brush over it like it's never existed. So let's talk. Hope to see you down there. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Adios.